guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over part 2 to the story I covered earlier, all about the father who just discovered that his daughter asked her boyfriend for an open relationship. The boyfriend, who he thought was going to be a son-in-law, actually asked about proposing to his daughter and all that. And this old school dad here is about to unleash HELL on his daughter in ways you guys are not going to believe, as well as his wife. So I'm just going to pick up where things left off because of this, with the cliffhanger I left you on. He says here, I was stunned, and when I looked at my sons, they were just as stunned as me. Then Max asked me if knowing it was my daughter, would my advice change? As much as I wanted to protect my daughter, I told him I would give him the same advice, and my sons agreed. Good. You have integrity. A lot of fathers might change their opinion about things upon finding this out. I think I was still in shock when Max got up, shook all our hands, thanking us for treating him well over the years, and said he was going to miss our time together, but he was going to take my advice. He said he didn't want to fight with her or cause a scene, and said he would gather the things she had at his apartment and would drop them off at my house in the next week, but asked me to keep her away from him. Well, good for Max. Good, Max. I'm sure that was very hard. And by the way, Dad, send him this video. Send him both these videos. Max, if you're out there and you're watching this, you did the right thing. And I know it's hard. I know it's heartbreaking. But take it one day at a time. But I'm sure there are things you did in the relationship that were probably in the classic category of nice guy, being too nice, that led this girl to think she was so safe with you that she could pull this crap. I don't want you to make the same mistake twice. But take it one day at a time. Work on yourself. Work on your job, the gym, all that. You're going to be okay. And do not talk to this girl and take her back. That's my advice to Max. But anyhow, says here, Max said that she asked him a few weeks ago and said that he was going to break up with her, but he wanted to get some advice before making his decision. Then he left through the side gate, leaving my sons and me all shell-shocked on the deck. It was a strange sensation knowing that my daughter's relationship was over, but hearing random laughter coming from the house that she wasn't even aware of it yet. Well, she ain't going to be laughing in 5 minutes. I think we sat there for another 10 minutes when I told my sons it was probably a good idea to get their girls and head out because it wasn't going to be a fun conversation with Cindy. We all went in the house and Cindy noticed right away that Max wasn't with us and she asked where he was. I told her we were going to talk about it while my sons gathered their girls and made a hasty exit. I think my wife knew from the expression I was wearing that something was wrong because she came up to me and gave me a hug, whispering in my ear what was wrong. He says, damn, women know me. Damn, the woman knows me better than I know myself. That's how it works. Women are not stupid, gentlemen, and they pick up on things, particularly things like body language and tone of voice and stuff like that, way better than we do, or way better than most of us do. I told her that Cindy really fucked up and this was going to be ugly. By the time my wife and I sat down, my sons and their friends were gone, and Cindy was looking a little panicked, still asking where Max was. As soon as the door closed behind my sons, I asked Cindy, did you really ask Max to open up your relationship? Oh, to be a fly on that wall. The look on her face told me everything I needed to know before my wife looked as shocked as I felt when Max told me, asked Cindy, did you really just ask him that? Cindy didn't answer my wife, but shot up out of her seat and ran to the back door, and when she didn't see Max on the deck, she started screaming, where is he? I told her he's gone and he's not coming back. At first it was like the words I was saying didn't make any sense because she was just staring at me. She asked what I was talking about and I told her that Max broke up with her and left. She just started saying, no, over and over before she pulled out her phone and tried to call him. Of course. Same guy that she has no problem cheating on and tossing to the side of the road, all of a sudden it's no. I'm not sure if he blocked her number or let it go to voicemail, but after 3 or 4 times, she started running for the door. Thankfully, even at almost 50 years old, I'm still faster than she is, and I caught her halfway there. She was struggling to get out of my arms and either accidentally hit me in the face or it was intentional. But the second she hit me, the caveman came out and I shouted at her to sit down. By that time, my wife was with us and pulled a crying Cindy back to sit on the couch. Here we go. Here at the drama fest. The tears, oh God. The next couple of hours were hard to get through, and I'll admit that I had more than a few drinks. Sir, I don't drink very much, and I would probably be drinking like a fish at this point. It was hard to even comprehend that my daughter could do such a thing. For most of the time, Cindy was crying and trying to text and call Max, and was getting more desperate each time she didn't get an answer or response. Yeah, she's fucking hysterical. Now, all what she's going through right now, the crying and hysteria and waterworks and panic and everything, that's what Max was feeling when she brought this whole thing up. Meanwhile, Max was going to propose to her. We all remember from the first story here. My wife spent most of the time trying to get her to calm down, and I was trying to figure out what went wrong. That was the pattern until Cindy screamed and threw her phone at the fireplace, and my wife lost her shit. What is she, fucking 5 years old, and she not getting her way, and she throws her fucking Barbie doll and smashes, but this is her phone. She smashed her iPhone. Little bitch can buy her own iPhone to replace this. It had been a long time since I heard the mom voice come out, but she yelled at Cindy to settle down. I don't know if it was a reflex or some lizard brain response, but Cindy crumped on the couch. Crying, and my wife started lecturing her. In that instant, it was like Cindy was a 5-year-old kid throwing a tantrum, only to be corrected by her mother hen. It was impressive, and I haven't been that proud of my wife in a long time. Good for your wife. It's amazing how, like, things in our childhood stay with us. Like, the daughter is a grown woman and probably could hold her own against her mom physically, but the fact that it's her mom yelling at her, whoom, she's frozen in place. My wife took complete control and told Cindy to stop crying and tell us what happened. It's always been amazing to me how she was always able to command such obedience from our kids, even though there was literally zero threat of violence from her. Hell, even my sons never tested her. They tested me a few times early on, and the lessons were well learned. But I've never had that verbal compliance that my wife wielded like an axe. That's the thing about moms, man. A mom can just give you that look, and you know you're in deep shit. You know your dad's going to whoop your ass, but a mom can just look at you. My mom had that superpower early on. I'm sure a lot of you guys out there are laughing because maybe your mom or your grandma, or maybe your wife, if you have a good marriage, can pull that with your kids. You know that look. Cindy was just crying, curled up on the couch, and my wife had enough. Get your popcorn, guys. Here's something about my wife. She rarely swears, but when she does, you know you're done playing games. She told Cindy to stop fucking crying and tell us what the hell she did. Most of what Cindy said after that was jumbled and didn't make a lot of sense, but I think I got most of it. So she went from 0 to Tuscan Raider in like 2 fucking seconds. The Tuscan Raider, the English to Tuscan Raider handbook, or whatever you want to call it. Every guy needs that. Every father needs that. I guess that she has a couple of friends. Here we go. I guess that she has a couple of friends from college that were in open relationships, and they convinced her how great it was, and that if her guy really loved her, he'd be happy to go along with it. Here we go, blame it on the friends. It's not my fault. Nope, it was Jessica and Heidi that brought that up. No, bitch, you went along with it. You're at fucking 26 years old. This is who you pay attention to, who your girl hangs out with. That was when my wife lost her shit and screamed at Cindy. She said, as close as I recall, you had a good man who wanted to build a life with you. All the plans you made were plans for your future. And instead of being happy that you found what most women say they want, you decided the best way to pay back his love was to tell him you wanted to cheat on him. Good for your wife. Are you that fucking stupid, my wife said. Why would you let some loose women you used to convince you to destroy a life you're building with a man who is going to marry you? Exactly. Maybe her friends were jealous of her. Maybe her friends, so-called friends, I'm using that in air quotes here, was trying to sabotage it. Remember the old Al Bundy quote? Don't try to understand women. Women understand women. They hate each other. Cindy was still crying, but she said she was only asking if it was something he'd be interested in trying, since they're both still young and hadn't had very many experiences. If you want an experience, book a flight to Europe. Go to Hawaii. Go on a cross-country adventure. Don't just go become the village bicycle. And bullshit, this was a hypothetical thing. She's fucking lying to you, sir, you and your wife. Except you two aren't stupid, and you know this. That was when my wife really turned into a demon. She shouted at Cindy, I didn't raise you to be a, wait for it, Slut! What the fuck is wrong with you? That was when I had to step in because I was afraid my wife was actually going to hit her. Will that be that bad? Maybe it could, like, that smack, I'm all for the smacks, could knock her out of that insane, hysterical state. And quite frankly, your daughter deserves it. It's not like she's a little kid and Child Protective Services is going to come by, you know. Let me tell you, I would rather be caught between two hungry bears than two emotional women. Both might lead to death, but at least the bears would be quick. Then Cindy said she wasn't sure if Max was serious about them because he hadn't proposed yet, and I owned up to my own part in this saga. Oh, for God's sakes, do the open relationship because he wasn't going to propose yet? She's 26 years old, for Christ's sake. I told that he was talking to me about it more than 9 months ago, and I told him to take his time and that if they were meant to be together, the marriage was just an expensive party. Well, that's what that's what the wedding is, yeah. The fact that she was asking to open the relationship told me that not only was she not ready for marriage, she wasn't even ready to be a girlfriend. I hadn't seen my daughter in so much pain, but she was the conductor of her own orchestra. She also found out that her brothers knew what she did, and I think that shocked her more than anything else. Well, you know, it's all about what the public thinks. That's when these people lose their minds when on social media they get busted. She sounds like a narcissist. At least certain qualities there. You know what? It's good the brothers know, because this is the only way potentially she can understand the gravity of what she's done and become is if some serious shaming going on here. Fast forward in time, it's been months since that day, and Cindy's finding out that actions have consequences. Well, good, she should. Max dropped off the things that she left at his apartment off a few days after that dinner, and when he refused to talk to Cindy, she was inconsolable for a few days, trying to blame everyone but herself for the results of her own decisions. Jesus H. Christ. Not that I'm surprised. And you watch this channel, sir, you can't be surprised. And I gotta say this, I'm sure a lot of you guys are thinking this. Imagine finding this shit out about your daughter. It's one thing to hear about this and all the stories, but to actually find out your daughter is that girl. Asks about open relationship, ruins a whole good thing, and then fucks it all up and blames everybody but herself. Oh. But you know what, sir? I'm sure you did your best. And she's an adult, and she's the one screwed all up here. It was after 4 days of crying, moping, and screaming at anyone that tried to talk to her that my wife and I sat down and told her under no uncertain terms that she needed to stop blaming everyone else when she was the one who destroyed her own life, or she could pack her bags and find somewhere else to live. Yes, good for you. Tough love. And all that time, she never once mentioned how sorry she was or how bad she felt about how it must have affected Max, and when I pointed that out, she tried to deny it. But it was my wife that told her that she has no idea when she became so selfish, but if she couldn't even admit that she ruined her own relationship, she was going to grow old and die alone because no man with a shred of self-respect would ever put a ring on her finger, and that finally started to sink in. Good for your wife is awesome. Give your wife a hug and a kiss, take her out to a nice dinner. You guys need to celebrate that you two are awesome, at least. Yeah, your daughter's a selfish asshole. I'm being honest here. There's a lot of other things I'm thinking about, but since she's your daughter and you're a viewer, I'm not going to say, but I'm sure you can figure that out. She tried to get Max to talk to her for a few months, but after stalking him at his apartment and his job, she was served a restraining order, and I think that was the exact moment she understood there was no going back. High five, Max. I'm sorry what happened to you, Max, but you know what? Dodged the bullet. He says, no parent wants their kids to go through this kind of pain, but you can only do so much. Once they're adults, it's on them to take the lessons they learned and apply them into their own lives. The relationship between my sons and daughter have been severely damaged, and my sons refuse to let Cindy be around their female friends for fear of her crazy rubbing off on them. I don't blame your sons. Not one bit. As a father, you want to protect your kids, but it's hard to do when they're the ones causing the damage. She's 26. She's a fucking adult, but she behaves like a selfish 5-year-old. She brought this all on herself, and I know you don't want to have to deal with the fact that she's become something, frankly, the world could do without. And well, I'll finish this up and I'll say my piece. Anyway, I thought that the way Max brought up this topic and how he got advice was unique. It might be useful. I wish Cindy had been more invested in what she had, but clearly my talks about the grass not being green on the other side didn't stick. And that was the abrupt ending to the situation. And I'm going to say this. I am so impressed how you were able to handle this, in the sense that you told Max, you were honest with him about first his hypothetical situation about the friend, and when you found out, you still told him to do the same thing. A lot of fathers wouldn't do that. That says a lot about your character. And I got to tell you, man, I love how you and your wife confronted her and handled her. And your wife, good job on her. High five to the wife. But I think this is going to go one of two ways. And I ain't going to hold my breath or bet my life on the first one here, but I'll say it anyway. Option one, door number one, your daughter learns from this. Again, I hold my breath, but never say never. She goes through enough hurt and humiliation and all these things, and wakes up and realizes one day just how much of an asshole she became on multiple fronts, blaming everybody herself, ruining a great relationship, letting her so-called friends influence her, hanging out with those people, all that. And upon this epiphany and learning the hard way, because the best lessons are the hardest lessons learned, let's be honest here, she'll change. Again, I hold my breath, but I'm hopeful for you and your family. And cuts off those gals that she hangs out with and anybody other gals that behave that way, accepts responsibility for her actions, and becomes a better person, and down the road learning from her mistakes when she finds another guy, and if she's young and pretty, she's going to find another guy, and is honest with him about what happened. If your daughter has future relationships with men and neglects to mention all this and how she screwed up everything, that's a sign. And then learns to not screw things up with a great guy that comes around in the future. I truly do hope that happens, but I hold my breath. Or door number two, which I would bet money on, given the behavior of this generation, who take entitlement and being assholes to a whole new level, she doesn't learn jack shit. She continues to hang out with girls like that or people like that. She, in essence, to punish you, mom and dad, deliberately goes out with guys that are lowlives. We call them the Chad and Tyrones. Maybe becomes a single mom, he gets pregnant, I don't know. And it gets worse and worse. And she becomes self-destructive and also to hurt you. Blaming you for Max going away. Who the hell is blaming her? And it's just a big freaking mess. And then you have to decide how you handle your daughter. I really hope that doesn't happen. But given how things are and the stories I've covered, 3,000 plus fucking videos in the last almost 5 years now, But anyhow, guys, there you go. You've heard all these stories about boyfriends and husbands finding out about, their wives or girlfriends wanting open relationships. But I don't recall a dad writing in about finding out his daughter is that, Back in the day, again, the biggest fear is her ending up on the pole. Now it's OnlyFans or being one of the Village Bicycle and open marriages, open relationships, and all that. And, yeah. But again, guys, for you parents out there, yes, you are responsible to an extent how your kids are, but some are just bad fucking seeds. And once they become adults, what they do is on them. And while you don't want them to hurt and all that, you can't there and hold hands of an asshole that deliberately hurts others and doesn't care about it and all that. So, anyhow, thought this would be a good one to go over here. It's different, but definitely interesting. So, sir, you did a great job, and your wife did a great job. And I'm so glad your sons are where they are, and you give them good advice as a father. And they knew instantly about this open marriage crap and not to do it and all that. And I wish you all well. So, send this video to Max if you think it might help him. And I wish Max well, too. I know these names are code names, but you get the point who the players are in this story. And maybe down the road, you can let me know how things are going. I really do wish your daughter sees the light. You never know. But I ain't bet my life on that at all. I wouldn't bet my life on anything, but I definitely not that. So, fingers crossed. We shall see. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Be sure to give the dad and the mom a shout out here for how the way they handled it. And be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.